Awesome. Looks like we are live. What do we say we're going to call this? Carpe diem moments, carpe diem time with Jesse. I don't know. The jury's still out on that, so be sure to share your input, your idea with that. I'll give you all a minute to sign in. And as you sign in, be sure to say hello, where you're logging in from, and why don't you share what the best book you've read in the last couple months is. Say hello, where you're logging in from, and what the best book you read is. I'm getting ready to finish a couple books here, and I'm looking for some good recommendations. A couple quick updates so we give everybody time to log in. Number one, be sure, Riddell. Hello, good to see you on here, Riddell. Be sure to subscribe to this if you haven't already. There's something here on Facebook somewhere where you can click on it and you can click get notifications first and see first and all those types of things. It's unfortunately a pain in the ass to try to get these, but if you do you do it once, then it'll be done and over with too. If you want to invite some friends and family to join us, please feel free to do so. And I think that's the big ones for the updates right now. Let me just share this really fast on one. Oops, I apologize. I should have had this already set up and ready to go. I had what do you call it? A brain fart what I was doing with this and completely forgot the other piece I needed to do. So I'm going to share this really quick. Say hello, where you're logging in from, and what the best book you've read as of late is. I'm looking for some recommendations, and then we're going to jump in and talk about share to a group. We're going to talk about ego today. Okay. Share group. And that's it. Oops, damn. Okay. We're ready to rock and roll. Thank you for your patience with that. Cindy, hello. Good to see you on here. Johnny, hey, good to see you on here. Jennifer, hello. Ego, taking your ego out of it. I want to share with you all a quick story about ego and why this can be so powerful. This kind of piggybacks a little bit off of did those of you who watched the WTF live yesterday, was that helpful to you? Did you get something out of it? And those of you who were here yesterday or any of the days this week, how many of you, by a show of honest hands, or you just put me, how many of you have honestly taken what we've been talking about and put it into practice? Okay, that's really crucial with these. I appreciate you showing up, and showing up is only a small little bit and piece of this. If you're just showing up and you're doing nothing with it, except for just saying, well, I feel good, and that was a nice talk, whatever, you're never going to get the results that you could get if you show up and then you take what we're talking about and put it into action. If it resonates with you. Not everything I cover in these lives is going to be for everyone. And for some of you who may be logging in right now, this might be exactly what you need at this juncture in your life. But what is critical is take the words, take the concepts, take the ideas, take the tools, and put them into action. If there is no action, inaction is an action, and that is the worst action you can take. Because if you do that, then nothing changes, everything remains the same. You get a little bit of a buzz from jumping on here, and then that's kind of it afterwards. So make sure you're taking action. Implementation is crucial. Codependent no more. Oh, I've never heard of that one. I'll have to check that one out. And Larry said he's implementing. Good. Larry, my man, better be implementing. That's what I like. Okay, let's talk about ego today. The reason this popped up is once upon a time when actually, let me pause and back this up. What I'll often offer people before I begin working with them in a coaching context is I usually want to do some sort of interview with them, answer their questions, and just qualify, make sure that we're a good fit to work together. And I also want to give people an opportunity to meet me, to talk with me, to get a sense for me, my personality that I have here. And in the coaching dynamic, where it's an intimate thing with a one-on-one type dynamic or with a small group, might be a little bit different. Just the same as when I teach those of you who have been to live events of mine, it might be a little bit different than it is talking to the computer screen like this. So it's really important for me before I meet somebody, before I speak with them, that we do these pre-interviews. And typically what I'll have people do is fill out an application and pick a time for us to meet. And then we'll arrange to meet over Skype or Zoom or Facebook Messenger or something like that. And we'll get in and start talking about what it is they want to accomplish, where they want to go, and I'll assess what I can do to help them. Me, used to get so bent out of shape and take it so personally if somebody would shine on that appointment. They would no-show it. I would go to call, I'd send them an email, I'd check in on them, and I would take it so personally. I would get really worked up and fired up about, oh man, they don't respect my time. They don't value my time. Who is this person? Who is this? All sorts of colorful language sometimes. I'm not going to lie about that. And I would just get myself worked into such a frustrated and pissed off state that oftentimes I might bring that into the next person that showed up, which is completely, totally and unfair to them. They're showing up for my best. They deserve my best. And I am not able to give my best if my ego is attached to this person not showing up, not following through, not honoring their word, all those types of things. I used to get pissed about this. I mean, I remember having conversations with friends about it. Can you believe these guys, they have no respect and everything. They don't get that this is my time and this is where I'm earning my income and this is how I put food on my table and all these types of things. Do they just think I'm here on 24/7 call and whenever they get a whim, they can show up and, all these things. I would really spin myself into a tizzy over this. And then one day I stopped and took a breath. And I asked myself, is their decision really about me as much as it is about them? See, my ego was getting so far in the way that it was making my time and my mind seem so much more significant, so much more valuable, all these types of things than them. And there's also another part of it too with me where I sincerely want to help every single person that I get to be able to interact with coaching. And I know for them, the first step has to be that they have to show up and we have to have that conversation. We have to show up and get to know each other. We have to show up and actually have the conversation about doing coaching, about what that entails, about what they can expect to accomplish. And I can't help them if they don't show up. But if they don't show up and if I'm taking it personally and I'm making it an ego thing about me, I'm not helping them at all to begin with. And I realized that it was such a profound aha moment for me. And I almost felt ashamed because it's my gosh, has my ego gotten to be so big and large or whatever that I can't even express compassion for people who don't show up? See, I realized that one of my driving forces with helping people is to come from a place of love, to serve from a place of love, to really show up from a place of love and just love people enough to have the tough conversations, love people enough to hold them accountable and hold them to a standard that they may not hold themselves to. And when I was allowing my ego to be bruised right from the get-go, that wasn't coming from love. That was coming from ego. I wanted the satisfaction of people showing up, being able to help, being able to pat myself on the back and saying, good job, Jesse, all those types of things, which I'm a huge fan of back pats and congratulatory good jobs. But that shouldn't be at the expense of what was the bigger driver for me, which is really serving people from a place of love. Upon this realization, I stepped back and said, okay, what do I need to do here to correct this? Because I'm still going to have the initial interview. I still want to give people that opportunity to meet. I still want to give people the opportunity to have the conversation. I still want to get to know them, then me. I still want to really qualify and get clear on how I can help and what they were wanting to accomplish. And I recognize that by making myself vulnerable to that, putting myself out there and making that opportunity available to them, run the risk of people filling out appointments, booking times, not showing up. So I had to take it off of me and put it back on them. And if somebody doesn't show up now, if somebody doesn't follow through, what I say to them is, I'll say to myself is, I just want to send love to them. First of all, I hope they're okay. Nothing bad happened or anything like that. And just honor and respect that right now may not be their time. As much as I may want it to be their time because I know what I'm capable of doing in terms of helping them. And having worked with thousands of people from all over the world at this point, I know what people are capable of doing when they're willing to step up and really give themselves a shot at something much greater than what they're experiencing right now. And that's not to say right now is bad. It's to say that where you are right now doesn't even compare to where you could be once you really learn how to focus in on what you're capable of and what you may know in your heart that you possess. See, all of us have an ego, and I think ego can be a really great asset if we choose to utilize it that way. But where most of us get in the challenge with ego is that ego becomes a way of self-validation. It becomes a way of making ourselves enough, making ourselves worthy, making ourselves deserving. And when we start to hedge our ego and our worth on that, because we're looking for external to validate that, we're setting ourselves up for trouble, because no external can ever give us the internal validation we really seek. That was another big aha and lightning bolt moment for me. Is I was looking so much for people to show up to get the external validation of being able to serve and help them, that I was starting to make my own sense of worth and value I bring contingent on other people showing up. Whether people show up or not, that doesn't change the value I can give. Rather, whether people show up or not, all it does is it decides whether they're able and open to receiving it. Right? My ability to coach someone, it doesn't change. What changes is if somebody shows up and is open to being coached. The message for all of you to take and apply this to your own life is, number one, is look at how does my ego get in the way of what you really want? Right? How might ego be obstructing your deeper connection in your relationships? How might ego be preventing you from growing to the level you could get to in your professional life? How might ego be holding you back from living daily fulfillment, happiness, joy? The really good stuff in life, a purpose. My God, I see more people robbed of purpose in life because of ego than about anything else. How many of you have ego interfering with your family dynamics, your family relationships, right? You have family members, parents, kids, whomever, cousins that you won't forgive or you hold emotional hostage to because your ego was bruised once upon a time. And not even necessarily by them, but by you, because you put your ego out there to be bruised, and you took what happened as a bruise and as a personal attack on your ego. Instead of showing compassion and seeing the other person just coming from wherever they were coming from, which may not have been the best place for them at that time. So number one is identify that. And number two is to look deep beyond your ego and to see what values really matter to you most. Is it love? Is it fun? Is it laughter? Is it joy? Is it purpose? What values are most important to you? And then when you recognize those values, number three is replacing ego with the values. So for me, coming from a serving from a place of love, once I got ego out of the way, I was able to step in there and say, okay, how can I really recognize this situation as a place of love? This person may not be ready. This person may not be quite there. They may have gotten scared. They just may not be in the space, or maybe, just maybe, energetically, I had an ego block in the way, and that ego block was preventing me from sending love out. There's been studies done now about the power of energy and the power of thoughts and how they can travel for so far in intention. There was a study done with, I think it was NASA and Georgetown University or something, where the NASA astronauts were given these envelopes and told not to open them until a specific date and time. And then what they did was they opened these envelopes at a specific date and time, and there's images, shapes, random things in there that they were told to focus on. And at that time, all they were told to do is focus on it. In Georgetown University, which I believe is where the home of the study was, students were told to meditate or whatever it is and try to tune in onto the thoughts that those astronauts in space had and see if they could predict what image they were looking at. And I don't remember the exact numbers, but the numbers were so astronomically beyond what anybody expected that they went way above and beyond what might be luck or random guess or anything like that. And it proved conclusively that our thoughts, our energy, our emotions, they have a wavelength that can literally travel time and space. And for me, was my ego getting in the way of sending love out to people because I was basing that experience on them showing up versus just sending love right from the get-go. I don't have the data to prove it, but what I can say is this, is that whether somebody shows up or not, even in this context, right, too, this goes out to however many tens of thousands of people, and a select few you choose to show up. I want to send love out to those of you who show up, and I also want to send love out to those of you who decided not to show up. Maybe people clicked the way they thought they might, but they were like, oh, that ego word, I'm not really ready to confront that. I'm not quite ready to go there yet. I think I'll save that for another one. Or maybe Jesse just said something the day before that kind of pissed me off, and I don't really want to go back and give any of my time to him, whatever that is. Right? It's a choice about where we put ourselves emotionally in that space. I end each and every one of these about sending love to you all because I mean that from my heart. It's such a much better place to live. So if any of you are still, those of you who are still listening here with this, and if you haven't got the message yet, my challenge to you is this: is look at a specific area in your life and be honest. Be honest, and part of honesty is going to be dropping your ego. So that's going to be the first place you drop your ego. But look at a specific area of your life that's not producing the results you want, and really examine how the ego is getting in the way and obstructing you from getting to what you really want in life. Then look deep at your values, what really matters most to you. And I lovingly challenge you to replace your ego with one of those values. Just operate from that space and see what happens. And I bet you'll be pleasantly surprised that the experience will be transformative and life enhancing. So that's what I got for you all today. I hope this helps. If you have questions about this, you can put them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them. If you are watching a replay, be sure to let me know what you thought of this. If you're watching this live, if you wouldn't mind putting a comment saying, Jesse, this was really helpful. Jesse, this sucked. Whatever your honest feedback is, I would love to. If you say it sucked, let me know why, because I really want to make this time of service of value to you. If you haven't already done so, be sure to subscribe to these, get the notifications so you get alerted whenever it comes on. If I can help you in any way beyond this, be sure to reach out to me, send me a message here, email, whatever you need to do to get a hold of me. I'd love to talk to you more about that. And I think two more. Tag a friend who needs to watch this. And last but not least, what do you think? Carpe diem moments, carpe diem with Jesse, just carpe diem for the title of these little things. I would love to hear your feedback on it. So, all right, that's what I got for you all today. Dina, Jeff, no, there's a few of you over here on YouTube. I have YouTube going at the same time as Facebook. Oh, thanks, Barbara. I really appreciate that. All right, everyone. We'll see you next time. Wherever you are, whether it's morning, noon, or night, I wish you an extraordinary right now, sending lots of love out to you. And remember to carpe diem, seize this moment, and make it matter. And if you're lucky enough to get another one beyond this, live this moment so well that it's an incredible foundation for the next moment to come. We'll see you next time, everyone. Bye-bye.